Welcome to Family Law Software, Calculating Child Support. Currently, I am in the desktop version of Family Law Software. To access your child support calculator, click Client Info and Support/Alimony. In this case, I have Tom and I have Patty. So to get started, I will add a child. And so the first data field is the child's name. The second data field is the child's date of birth. Next is who the child lives with most, and this will change automatically with whoever has the majority of time sharing. In this case, Patty, by default, as the respondent, will have the 365. Tax exemption is a drop-down. Select mom, dad, alternating, or neither. If the child is under 18, they will automatically be eligible for child support, calculated using their date of birth. And by default, the child will be considered of the relationship, meaning the child belongs to Tom and Patty. You can easily add another child by clicking Add Child. And I'll do the same. I'll enter a date of birth. All of the data fields are identical for now. And so now I can change the time sharing. So each child will be on their own schedule. So if I type in 80 overnights for the first child, I would have to type in 80 overnights for the second child if I want them to have the same mirroring schedule. In our program, you also have the option of doing a true 50-50. So I can type in 182.5 for each child. Each child will also have their own individual calculator. If you click Calc, you could enter overnights per week. So we could say every weekend and then maybe an additional month over the summer. And so our program will calculate that to be 36.7% time sharing, and I can click Save. And so the time sharing will update into the number of overnights. Underneath your basic information is going to be some options for split custody. And so these options become relevant when one child is spending the majority of overnights with one parent, and then the other child is spending the majority of overnights with another parent. So in this case, child 1 is spending the majority of overnights with Tom, and child 2 is spending their majority of overnights with Patty. Once that happens, you'll be able to use these tools to determine what child support would be underneath these scenarios. You'll also notice that throughout our child support calculator, we have these little blue question marks, and each one of these blue question marks will explain what that data field is looking for. So I will bring the children to a normal time sharing schedule. And so the next question is wages. And so what we have now is on a side-by-side basis, Tom and Patty. So let's say that Tom makes $6,500 a month and Patty makes $5,000 a month. Once you enter wages for the parties, you'll notice at the bottom of the screen, the program will tell you how much child support is owed and by whom. Anytime you make a change, whether it's in time sharing, in this case, by increasing overnights, we'll see the instant effect on child support, or on wages. We'll instantly see the effect. One of the options you have now for wages in Family Law Software is you can impute minimum wage to a party. So in this case, let's say Patty, we are going to impute minimum wage to her. All I would do is mark X in this field. And so the program will automatically impute minimum wage at full time, which will equal $338 per week for Patty. If you'd like to only impute part-time wages, you can change the hours to 30 or less, and then we will update the weekly amount of income. You also have the option to let the program know that you have imputed income to that party. So by Xing this box, we're letting the program know that these wages that we're attributing to Patty are imputed wages. And there's different reasons to do that. Let's focus back on Tom. In this case, I have Tom making $6,500 a month. I can use this drop-down menu to change his pay period, but I'll leave it at monthly. Let's say that Tom's wage of $6,500 a month is self-employed income. So we'll say he's a 1099 employee. To let the program know that Tom is self-employed and subject to the self-employment tax, you would just click this box here. And so now I have Tom at $6,500 self-employed, and I've got Patty at part-time minimum wage, and we've imputed that to her. Always pay attention to your tax filing status. So each one of the parties, you can select how they would be filing their taxes. And if you ever have any questions as to what their tax status should be, you can just click on this little blue question mark. We have a little mini explanation, but if you click more help, we'll have an expanded help as to how you should designate the party's tax status for child support purposes. Okay. You also have the option of entering net income for the parties here. Keep in mind that if you enter net income in these boxes, you're going to override any other income entries, and we will assume that you know what you want the net income to be, and then you can make changes to timesharing or deductions such as health insurance. Next is wage-like income, and I call wage-like income funny income. So public assistance, bonuses, tips, overtime, royalties, etc. So each one of these line items you can enter data for. So let's say Tom has royalty income. I can type in $1,000 a month. And the same thing for Patty. If Patty were receiving tips, for instance, at $500 a month, I can put that in there as her income. On the side here, you can see you can make the income taxable or non-taxable. So by default, you'll see which items are taxable and which ones are non-taxable. If I scroll down, these lines are to be used for your needs. So for instance, if you know that the judge will likely impute income to Tom, maybe at $500 a month because someone else is being generous and making his car payment, you could put that in the program as income. So you can use these lines for those purposes or for other purposes. The next data field is the child's Social Security derivative benefit. And so this means that the child is receiving Social Security because of Tom or Patty's disability. And so you would enter it in whichever field is appropriate. Last, deductions. And so under deductions, the most common deduction is obviously health insurance. So each party has side by side. We have Tom, for instance. So the first line asks for total health insurance. And so the reason we ask for that is normally on a W-2 pay stub, it will list what the party pays for their total health insurance. But that doesn't necessarily tell us what they pay for the children's share. And so line 3 is asking, of the $500 that Tom pays for health insurance, how much of that is the children's share? So let's say we call the plan administrator or HR and they tell us that the children's portion is $200 a month. The program knows now that Tom pays $500 for health insurance total, and he pays $200 for the children. So by default, the program knows that Tom is paying $300 for health insurance for himself. But you'll notice we will not enter $300 in the program. The program is calculating that automatically. The next options are for unreimbursed medical expenses, so you can enter those here. If the child we're seeing maybe a psychologist on a monthly basis, and that's $500 a month, you could type it in to see how it affects child support, but you could also exclude it from the child support calculation. 13 is daycare. 14 is alimony on the current relationship. 15 and 16 are taxes. So by default, we're going to calculate the taxes for you, but you can open up a tax worksheet for wages, or for line 15, you can open up a tax worksheet for mortgage interest deduction and taxes, etc. Last, to round out the statute, we have 17 through 20 is going to be mandatory retirement, union, child support, and alimony paid on other relationships. Last, for older or wealthier clients, you can open up income from investments, pensions, and IRAs. So interest, pensions, IRAs, you could add a business, so you can really get in depth with your income sources. Most times will be done at deductions. And so at the bottom of the screen, we can see child support is $1,540 paid by Tom. When you're ready to print, click Reports. Now I click Child Support is the first option. The first option for printing your child support worksheet is the official Florida Supreme Court guideline. And so you'll have all of your boxes listed here, and they will all populate themselves. Child support to be paid will be $1,540. Please keep in mind that this is a print preview screen, so you don't want to change these numbers. If you do, they'll turn red. The program warns me that not to do that. I click OK, and then we can see the data field turned red. All you have to do is click the data field and go back to the calculated value, and the red number will clear. If you need to make any changes, just go back into Client Info and make the changes on the child support data entry screen. Our program will automatically calculate step downs for you if you entered in the children's date of birth. And so the initial support order will be for $1,540. And when the first child ages out, child support will drop to $977. The termination date for the child support will be the child's 18th birthday, but in this case, you could change that maybe to the month where the child would likely graduate high school. I'll click OK. And so that number will be red, but in this case, that will be all right. Last, you have deviations. So if you want to increase or decrease child support by the statutory 5%, you can do so here, or you could list a reason why you are increasing or decreasing child support. So I could enter a positive number, or I could enter a negative number. And see how that'll affect child support. And so that's how you calculate child support in family law software and print. And so when you're on these screens, all you have to do is click print or PDF. So in my case, I'll click print and I will open it in preview. And so now we can see the child support guideline. Thank you for watching Family Law Software, Calculating Child Support with the Desktop Edition.